Greetings, this is Bill Kleitz of Building Bridges Ministries. I'd like to share on a thought. We are being set up. We are being set up. I like to also say before I go into this message that you can go to Twitter, William Kleitz on Twitter, and you'll see some of my thoughts on there as well. But we are being set up in America for the past 8 years. Actually before that, but under Obama, we've been set up of an invasion of Islamic people. Why? Christians need to wake up and be wise and understand why Islam is being spreaded around the world. These wars have been a start of fulfilling some of the prophecies of Islam, so that Islamic people will be spread around the world. So when the Mahdi comes, that's their, in our equation, would be the Antichrist when he comes, which he's going to rule the known world where he's at, in the Middle East mainly, and also try to rule the whole world. So if you ever hear a person like President Bush said that there's moderate Muslims and they're peaceful. Well, moderate Muslim is not peaceful. He's only peaceful until the Imam or eventually the Mahdi comes, and then they're going to have a revolution. They're also, this is what ISIS is doing. ISIS is creating a lot of disturbances everywhere. And that flag that they have, black flag, means jihad. To every Muslim, that means jihad. And on that, writings on that flag, it's red, it's black, and white. But when they put the black flag up, it actually means punishment on there. Punishment to who? It's not to Muslims, unless they try to convert to Christianity, or unless they go against the Muslim way of thinking as far as the Quran teaches. But the Quran teaches that when the Mahdi comes, he's going to rule and reign. He's going to go about causing violence and wars until everybody in the world submits to Allah. That's what that actually means. It means to submit. Islam means to submit to. And how did they do that? By jihad, by killing people and murdering people. Now, I'll have to say this, that Ahmadiyya Muslims, you don't hear much about them when they talk about Muslims. They either talk about Sunni or Shiite. Now, Ahmadiyya Muslims come from India. Ahmadiyya was a Muslim, but he was Indian, and he believed that he was the Messiah, and he had different teachings about Jesus and also about jihad. Jihad to him was to bring about in a peaceful way, not in a violent way. So there's Sunni Muslims and Shiite Muslims do not accept Ahmadiyya Muslims. They think that they're heretics. So there is a difference. When you see an Ahmadiyya Muslim, they do basically live by, when they talk about jihad, they live by a peaceful way. Now, if someone attacks them or something, then in their writings that they can defend themselves. But jihad to an Ahmadiyya Muslim is in a non-violent way. It's brought about by a non-violent way. But the Shiite and the Sunni Muslims, they go by their writings as ruling the whole world. And it's very important for you and I as Christians to know why Islam is being spread around the world and actually is becoming the fastest growing religion there is. Why? I personally believe is because there's no change in their life. I can go from report that shows you that these people are not living by their teachings, and they're violent people. But nonetheless, we need to wake up and realize, why are they coming? Why are they being pushed into all different areas of the world? And why is the world, I'm talking about non-believers that are Christians, and even Christians, and sad to say, there are Christians that are being born, or excuse me, that are converting themselves to Islam. They call themselves Christians. They probably never knew Jesus Christ. There's a lot of Christians, or so-called Christians in America, that say they're Christians, but they don't live by the Bible. They just say because they're in America that they're a Christian, or their parents were Christians. And there's statistics. If you ever read Joel Richardson's book on the Antichrist, Islam, you'll see a lot of his statistics say that there's about 25,000 or more people being converted to Islam in America. And they're mostly black folks. Why is that? And some of them say they were raised by Christian families. There's a lot of different reasons why. There's cliquishness. They enjoy the going back to the old way of doing things, of the Middle Eastern way of doing things. But if we were really true as Christians, we come from the Middle East. Our roots come from the Middle East. So with that agenda, with that thought about just becoming a Muslim because they like the garb and the clothing and all those other things, then that goes out the window, because Christianity's roots, it comes from the Middle East. Judaism, if you will, from the Hebraic roots of our beliefs, from the Old Testament, the Bible. Jesus was a Jew. All the apostles were Jews. But nonetheless, we need to wake up. We are being set up. And when Trump got voted into office, all of a sudden he kicked out everything that was Islamic in the White House. They don't tell you much about this, but he kicked it all out, took all the pictures out, and there was a secret mosque in the White House. It's a known fact. Well, it's not a known fact. It's actually just been brought out. But it was a known fact that Obama was bringing all kinds of Muslims in, but not the Christian faith. He rejected the Christian faith even. He even prayed to Allah, which, by the way, if you study the scriptures by archaeologists, Allah is a heathenistic pagan word for small g God, but it also goes back to its roots to worshiping the moon god and the sun god, which they believed that the sun god had sexual relationship with the moon god, and they had the star, the daughters, 3 daughters. If you go back to archaeologists, you'll find pictures of all kinds of where the crescent moon and all those things and the stars are there. It all goes back to the false deities of the sun god and worshiping the moon. But yet we as Christians, it's sad we don't study these things, and preachers aren't telling this from the pulpit. But we need to wake up. There is a lot of Muslims that are receiving Jesus Christ as Savior. Yes, that's wonderful. But why are they mainly coming over here? Is to overwhelm us. And when the Mahdi comes and he brings forth his message of to destroy and conquer the world, do you think modern Muslims are going to say, oh no, we live in America, we're peaceful? No, they're going to jump on the bandwagon, because if they don't, they're going to get their heads cut off. So we need to wake up and find out what's going on around the world. And sad to say, a lot of black folk and in prisons, I know, I used to go into the prisons, they're getting converted to Islam because it sounds good. It's also it protects them from other people. And also, some of them really want to serve God, but they have been taught the wrong way. And yet we see here, I honestly believe the Antichrist spirit is moving through this false religion, which came about in 6th to 7th century through a man called Muhammad, who had dreams, and yet they thought, even his own people thought, that he was satanic inspired.